Yo, Pyra here.
Let's do some math. 0.21% of gamers watch gaming presentations. That's just a fact. They like getting new game reveals thrown in their faces. Now, twice as many watch E3, the biggest time of year for gaming news. It's all about seeing all these games you've never even dreamt of before. That's the point. Now, we remove the point, and we get E3 2021.
Oh, look, it's my favorite time of year to be pissed. After an event like E3 2019, anything was possible. Anything. So E3 2020 didn't happen because of the molluscum outbreak. Many assumed it wouldn't be back for 2021, but those people didn't take not that into consideration. E3 2021 occurred as a virtual event, huge different from other years. No live press conferences with large audiences, just pre-packaged video showcases. They get the same gist as the press conferences across, we just don't have the life of the party. Much like with 2019, Sony wasn't participating, and EA does their own thing separate from E3, but instead of it occurring the week before, it's a month later. Well, at least Verizon's here. As per usual, I'll be taking a look at each major company's showcase and rating them on a scale of 1 to 5 knee slaps, starting with the Ubisoft Forward event on June 12th.
Ready.
Ubisoft press conferences are like sponges. Why would you watch it? Ubisoft never really clicks with me a whole lot, and no matter how good their best games are, they never really reach the heights of other companies in my opinion, and I don't really see any massive Ubisoft-only fans out there. I only saw 2 tattoos. But this Ubisoft Forward event likes to act like the person watching cares about everything Ubisoft puts out, like you played Family Feud.
Alright, so what's up first? The 42nd Tom Clancy game this year? Oh, E3 is back!
Rainbow Six Extraction. You know, I could fake it and say how this seems like an interesting direction for Rainbow Six, focusing on more supernatural alien-type creatures. I'm excited to see more. Or, I could be honest.
F off, Tom Clancy.
Does anybody else feel like within the past 4 years, Ubisoft has been going way too hard with the Tom Clancy games? Like, most of them solo, but I have never stared a Tom Clancy fan in the eye. And if I, one lone gamer, doesn't care about something in an E3 showcase, that means it's filler, it's unneeded, and shouldn't exist, and E3 is ruined!
I'm very reasonable.
So Ubisoft is adding this little flavored text to each of their titles now, a Ubisoft original.
Like that means anything.
Gameplay is shown, and it looks a whole lot worse than that CGI trailer. I'm sure the game is fine, it's just another Tom Clancy game to me, and Ubisoft already announced like 4 of them yesterday.
But oh boy, I can't wait for the next Mario Party.
A new Rocksmith title, Rocksmith Plus. This one's a subscription service, and it's all about teaching you how to play guitar, and I can commend that. I think the subscription service model's annoying, but it makes sense from a business perspective for this kind of thing. I respect this. Overall, I give Rocksmith Plus a hat tilt. Riders Republic, this is a fun-looking extreme sports title. All different kinds of ways to race. You can explore this really good-looking environment.
I haven't been bored in 10 minutes. Oh! Yes!
You know, after hearing about Rainbow Six, I thought to myself, what about Rainbow Six? Crossplay was announced for Rainbow Six Siege between PC players and Google Stadia and Amazon Luna.
You're doing God's work.
While Rainbow Six Siege players begged Ubisoft, guys, please, crossplay. I want to play with the boys on Google Stadia. Of course, console crossplay comes later down the line. Here's a DLC trailer, then one of the hosts says how new games aren't the only things to be excited about this year.
Didn't this release 6 years ago?
Tons of updates are coming to already released games. Always nice to know, but not that exciting at E3 though, honestly. But at least they ended the update montage saying they're continuing to support a Tom Clancy Ghost Recon game.
God, I was getting worried.
Just Dance is back!
Did it ever leave?
Why does Ubisoft make Just Dance a part of their conference every year but refuse to admit they made Uno? Like, they make all these games. It may not be great, but I would have gladly taken a trailer for the Monopoly game they published compared to this year's Just Dance. They don't do anything new. There's never any real announcement here. It's just Dance is coming this year.
Yeah, I know. I got the alert too.
It's time to get our Viking on.
Oh,
Updates coming to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Again, like I said, this is good to know. Like, I like seeing these games continue to get support. However, it's not that exciting, especially if you aren't playing the game. E3 is when more than just your core fans are watching, and I just don't feel like talking about updates like this really makes anybody go, wow, I'm in. These feel better saved for like an April Ubisoft Forward or a July one. When everybody is watching you and you end up talking about what's coming to an Assassin's Creed game where if they didn't buy it already, nothing you say here is probably ever going to convince them to buy it. I just feel like you're wasting everybody's time. Save this stuff for events outside of E3.
Can't wait to see that new Smash Brothers character.
Look at the films and TV series Ubisoft is working on, the show Mythic Quest and the film Werewolves Within, based on the game I've never heard of. Apparently it's a VR multiplayer game from 2015, so that gets a movie, but not Rayman Advance. Far Cry's sake, you know, I enjoy Far Cry, Cry, they're almost always well-made games. It's just similar to Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon. It's almost always here. Just the fact we're up to 6, and that's not even counting the side games like Primal and New Dawn. It's just not that exciting to get a new Far Cry anymore. This one still looks quality, though the character models look kind of off sometimes. But they had the Season Pass announcement at the end, showing the villains from previous games and the fact that Far Cry 3's expansion Blood Dragon will be included in some capacity. Surprised they didn't announce Far Cry 7. Then we move into the next announcement. Ubisoft off with Tom Clancy. Mario plus Rabbids is getting a sequel. Now, this was leaked just a day beforehand on Nintendo's website, but this is pretty neat nonetheless. Sparks of Hope looks like a legitimate upgrade in every way, visual and scope-wise. It's obviously more ambitious. However, this does seem like a weird game to blossom into a series. As a goofy one-off that surprised everybody with its quality, yeah, for a sequel, this does still need to prove itself a bit more to me personally. The trailer seemed awfully nonchalant, like, yeah, this is happening again. I think it might have been cooler to me to see Ubisoft tackle another series of Nintendos for a crossover with the Rabbids, or just if they revealed a bit more, but it looks good, and the developers are always a treat to listen to. The Nintendo segment is over.
All right. I hate Ubisoft.
One final announcement. It must be big. Big enough to not show gameplay. Avatar.
Well, that kind of stunk.
It's a well-done trailer, I guess, but there's only so much of a trailer I can watch after I realize it's an Avatar game for me to care if you're not going to show the damn game. Well, Ubisoft was Ubisoft. Can't say that was anything I didn't expect, but can't say that made me excited to tell my parents what I did the past hour. Just nothing that interesting, nothing horrendous. It was just kind of boring. Even with Mario plus Rabbids, that was the highlight of the show, and it getting leaked beforehand definitely deflated it a bit. But this crossover isn't nearly as mind-blowing as it was when it was first announced. Doing it a second time, well, cool. I'm happy it's here. It isn't blowing me away. I went into this wanting to be the third tattoo, but I'll save this patch of skin for Verizon. What's next on the schedule? Gearbox?
Surely they will save E3.
Was anybody really expecting anything from this? There are certain companies, when I see they're doing an E3 show, I run. Gearbox talked about the Borderlands movie coming up, said Homeworld 3 was in production.
So that was a big deal in, the late 90s.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, a Borderlands spin-off. Homeworld 3 is still in production.
Here we are years later, and we keep looking at like, well, Homeworld 3, this has to happen.
Tribes of Midgard is coming in July. Godfall, the PS5 exclusive launch title that could only run on PS5. Damn it, they pushed through and got it to work on PS4. Then we finish with talking to Kevin Hart about nothing.
But is Homeworld 3 in production?
It's not a prequel, it's not a remaster, it's Homeworld 3. It's the next Homeworld.
I think they're trying to tell us something.
So I can already kind of tell what some companies are doing here. They wouldn't normally do a press conference, but because this is all virtual, they're displaying the games they would have brought to E3. The stuff playable at the show. They may not have anything worthy of a press conference here, but hey, at least Homeworld 3 is in production. The Xbox and Bethesda Showcase. I prefer Xbox and Friends. This took place on June 13th and is the first E3 show after Microsoft bought Bethesda. The first E3 show after Microsoft launched their next generation of Xbox consoles, the Xbox Series X and S.
This is a big E3 for Microsoft, which is what we say about every E3, but this is actually big. And what better way to usher in such a big event than to show off their new mascot? Todd Howard.
Starfield from Bethesda. Well, that got announced back at E3 2018. All that trailer really showed us was it was a Bethesda game in space. What year is it? Yes, after years of waiting, Starfield to me is still a Bethesda game in space. Like that sandwich, I don't know how to describe it. That's a Fallout sandwich. It just looks straight out of Fallout. The game looks like Fallout in space. Of course, that's without seeing gameplay because we didn't, but the art design, everything, it does feel like Bethesda through and through, and it's coming out in late 2022. See you next year. Stalker 2.
Son of a bitch.
This game looks incredible visually. Honestly, something that seems to be only possible on newer hardware. It's seriously impressive. Back 4 Blood. What are you guys doing? You're ruining the Back 4 Blood press conference.
There's always gonna be Verizon.
Xbox Game Studios presents, in partnership with Avalanche, a co-op open world, Contraband. Konami's not gonna do it. Well, that was a nothing trailer. I mean, Microsoft has been announcing loads of games lately, but they almost always have nothing to show of them. And if they're not in a pre-established franchise, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to get excited without seeing gameplay. A Sea of Thieves update featuring Pirates of the Caribbean, that's pretty cute. I'll buy 5 Xboxes. An ad for the entire Yakuza series on Xbox Game Pass, but that's been a thing for a while now. This is the announcement of the latest game being available on the service today. Cool. I mean, Xbox Game Pass adds games every 2 minutes, so if they talk about how they're adding games to the service at E3, it's not like, oh my god, what? That also may be because I've been paying for this service for 36 months and I've turned on my Xbox 4 times since. Battlefield 2042 gameplay. I'm gonna be honest, this was one of the best gameplay trailers from E3 I've seen. No need for fancy CGI that makes you go,
Wow, they must really care if they're lying to me.
just really exciting gameplay. This all looks excellent. Doesn't mean I'm gonna play it. 12 minutes. This was shown at Microsoft's E3 2019 conference, and this pretty much tells me the exact same thing. Psychonauts 2 is always a pleasure to see. For the 12th time, more Bethesda games are coming to Game Pass.
They weren't there already?
Well, this is where the Bethesda juice is kicking in. It's time for updates on their garbage. Fallout 76 and the Elder Scrolls Online updates. I always win E3 bingo. Party Animals, a multiplayer battle arena type game between all kinds of characters with snouts. I can tell this game was added to the lineup to help Microsoft meet the quota. Hades is coming to Xbox. That's great to see. It's always surprising this game wasn't on anything but Switch and PSC for the longest time, but it definitely deserves to be played by all. You ever have those games from press conferences that you completely forgot about? Somerville is coming. Then we have this big segment about Halo Infinite, showing a bit more of the story and multiplayer. The game was delayed from a 2020 launch into holiday 2021, and being honest here, the original gameplay they showed, I thought looked pretty alright. Visually, it wasn't impressive, but it wasn't bad. But the delay was obviously the right move, as the game looks substantially better, and this is shaping up to be a solid title. Oh, and it's gonna have an epic campaign. Diablo 2 Resurrected, great remake with tons of value here.
But where are the rats?
A Plague Tale Requiem, holy shit. I never thought about what next gen could do for rat tech. Far Cry 6, because I was begging to see more. Far Cry has a strange tendency to have a super serious trailer like at the Ubisoft Forward, and then the next trailer is like, whoa, f my grandpa, dumbass. Slime Rancher 2.
Xbox.
Here we have a snowboarding game, Shredders. Now, this is cool because we just don't get snowboarding games like we used to. The problem is, all this trailer did was show snowboarding. That's reassuring. But what makes this game unique? What makes it different? Because this new console can display up to 40K rats. There's no excuse. Atomic Heart, this looks like a wild game. I just didn't know what I was looking at half the time. Replace, this has this sprite-based art style with crazy lighting and depth and all that. It truly looks stunning. Grounded gets an update, Among Us is coming to Xbox, a Yuden Chronicle, the spiritual successor to Suikoden. See, Microsoft likes to throw in games and make everybody go,
But your Xbox.
The Ascent, pretty much any co-op game in this angled top-down style. I don't know why, it's usually an automatic turn-off for me. I have very specific turn-ons. Age of Empires 4 for PC, then The Outer Worlds 2 is announced via a tongue-in-cheek trailer poking fun at the fact it's being announced too early. I think that's great, but it does highlight my biggest problem with Xbox right now. Raise your hand if you remember the name of the new game by Avalanche announced in this press conference.
Come on, I was trying to make a point.
They are non-stop announcing games too early, with nothing to show, and it's just getting irritating at this point. Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming to Xbox Series X and S, which is great. This game looks super cool, and to have it on something other than a PC, which for some reason I just can't use, will be awesome. Forza Horizon 5. Yeah, that got announced and will release before the next mainline Forza Motorsport, which was announced in 2020, and the next Fable game, which is being made by the same developer as Forza Horizon 5. Because my god, logic makes sense. Horizon 5 looks gorgeous. Set in Mexico, they have nailed every little detail, but car games like this just always look the same to me graphically. I still think a Forza from 5 years back looks fantastic, so there's only so much more they can constantly improve on. Phil Spencer comes out.
Phil, thanks for the rats.
And things out on Redfall, a vampire co-op shooter by Arcane and Bethesda.
Thank you.
Well, that's over. It's an odd game to end things out on. No gameplay or anything. If I would compare the idea of this to anything, it's like Left 4 Dead, but with fangs. And they already showed Left 4 Dead's spiritual successor in this presentation with Back 4 Blood, so it's like, why act like this is the one game to end it all with? There were a good few games they showed in this presentation I think would have made for a better closer. Well, that was Xbox. The general consensus online was that was a great show. My opinion's a little lower, and I've had this mentality with Xbox for quite a few years now. Xbox has rarely had a bad press conference. Even their worst ones from the Kinect days, those are treasures. When an Xbox showcase is bad, it's glorious. When it's good, it's kind of just generically good to me. They almost always tout how this is the largest and most diverse lineup in Xbox history, saying, we're gonna show you 50 games, but 40 of them you've already seen and are just completely random out of nowhere titles you're gonna forget about in 5 minutes. I always feel like Xbox showcases games that are kind of the table scraps from what Nintendo and Sony aren't showcasing in their presentations. But they are making great strides with exclusive games. Just so many of them are just CGI trailers. We have nothing to go off of. We know Fable and Perfect Dark and Hellblade 2 and Everwild and The Outer Worlds 2 and State of Decay 3 and Contraband and Redfall and Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are coming out, but we basically know nothing and just have CGI trailers of them, and I'm just sick of it. And Bethesda really didn't have much going on here. Like, if Xbox didn't purchase them and they had their own press conference, what the hell would they show? But Xbox Game Pass was pushed heavily here, with most of the games being slated to be a part of the service, which is fantastic. Overall, Xbox, as usual, had a good one here. It's just, it didn't make me feel anything. It was mostly stuff I fully expected and nothing that crazy, but it was pretty alright. Square Enix held their Square Enix Presents less than an hour after Xbox. Well, that doesn't give me much time to recover. I can only be so lukewarm. I get really tired after seeing something okay. Well, Square's presentation starts off with the reveal of a new game by Eidos Montreal, Guardians of the Galaxy. Please tell me more for 2 hours? So Square Enix published the Marvel's Avengers game, which wasn't really what a lot of people wanted. Thus, the idea of them doing another Marvel game isn't all too thrilling. However, this one looks pretty good. Guardians just seems to be a well-made single-player adventure. Solid visuals, voice acting, the gameplay looks decent enough. I think this will be a quality game. This demo wouldn't end. I think this game would have left a far greater impact if it was just a trailer in the Xbox showcase, but after this was all done, they announced the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. They're re-releasing the first 6 Final Fantasy games on platforms that already have most of them. Square Enix fans, does this ever happen to you? Alright, listen, I get it. Square likes to release a lot of their old games on PC and mobile. Sometimes it feels like they do it there first as a test, but why aren't these on consoles right now? They were console games. The consoles currently don't have any means of playing any of these games. Mobile platforms have all these games already. You can play 1 through 6 on smartphones right now, and PC has 4 of them. What the hell is the point of any of this? Legend of Mana's opening cutscene is played, Avengers gets some updates, a ton of mobile games are detailed because the E3 audience loves it. Square, my fingers are too dirty to play mobile games. Babylon's Fall is shown, a Platinum Games production. It's a live games as a service title and looks like ass. I'm sold. A ton on Life is Strange, a remaster collection, then the next entry, True Colors. Life is Strange is something that you're either into or you're not, and no trailer for any game in the series is ever going to convince you otherwise. Then, one final game, a new Final Fantasy spin-off, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. It's supposed to be a modern action game based on the first Final Fantasy game. This game could be anything. It doesn't feel like Final Fantasy, it looks like a generic hack and slash. Like a fine way to end things, I guess. At least they showed us something new, but describing the game, an action RPG based on the world of the first Final Fantasy, my mind goes on a lot more cool places than what this trailer is. And that was the Square Enix Presents at E3. I didn't like it. What was the point of this? The more time passes, the less Square Enix seems to have it all together. They almost seem to be replicating a lot of the problems Capcom had a few years back, where they were trying so desperately to appeal to America. When in reality, if you just do what people know you for, you'll be just fine. Like who's thinking, oh, Square Enix, I want them to make Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't think this presentation was terrible, but it was most certainly not good. There were some announcements and they weren't half bad. Guardians looks quality, and I feel like Stranger of Paradise will be alright, but everything in the middle, it's like, look at the sandwich. There's pure mucus in the middle, but the bread's okay. Yes! Guys, I'm signing up for Verizon. They're gamers too! Verizon's E3 show on June 14th. What do you think they're gonna announce? It doesn't matter! They're gamers! Verizon is one of those companies who know nothing about gaming, but they're tech-based, so they see how large gaming is and they feel the need to jump in on the conversation. Just look at how companies like Google and Amazon talk about gaming compared to Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft. They don't get it. They always overact about gaming, trying to overcompensate to prove to people that they respect and love video games, when in reality, they know absolutely nothing about them. Gaming isn't a passion, it's a right! I don't know, maybe they'll announce the PlayStation Vita will be under Verizon now. Well, 5G data speeds are here, and they're gonna help us do esports and develop games and watch games online. I just care so much about gaming and gamers and video games. This was an advertisement for Verizon Internet, and it was still better than Gearbox. Capcom had their showcase later that day, saying they were going to show Resident Evil Village, Monster Hunter Stories 2, The Great Ace Attorney, and an update on their fighting games. I wonder what they're going to show. We start off with Resident Evil Village. That's a surprise. Since the game is already out, they say, The game is already out. Here's Monster Hunter Stories 2. Much like Resident Evil Village, this game is a thing. Monster Hunter Rise gets an update, the Grace Ace Attorney gets a trailer, then a Capcom employee explains the trailer, then esports. What the hell was that?
Half a slap. Alright, so a virtual only E3. I gave Xbox a golf clap. The rest of the conferences gave me the clap. It's up to Nintendo, and Bandai Namco presents House of Ashes to save the event. Hopefully one of them shows Wario.
The Nintendo Direct for E3 2021 occurred on June 15th. Of course, being the Nintendo fan I am, I was expecting utter dog shit. It's structured just like any regular Nintendo Direct, which is interesting. Normally their E3 Directs are very different pacing and style-wise. The first announcement is Kazuya from Tekken is coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Fine! This is a character announcement that doesn't upset me, it just doesn't do much for me. We already have 3 fighting game characters in the game, in which their main gimmick is the fact they're from a fighting game, so the 4th time, it's not as interesting. Plus, fighting game characters are constantly swapped around in crossover fighting games, and Namco develops Tekken and Smash Brothers, so this doesn't feel like a, oh my god, what moment. Also, Tekken was already technically represented in Smash via the Heihachi Mii costume. It doesn't mean I think it should have been the only Tekken representation, it just makes the character's inclusion a bit more underwhelming than if Tekken wasn't represented at all. I'm always happy to see new Smash characters, but I'm almost ready to see them wrap things up. Speculating who will be in Smash next has become boring to me, because it almost seems like all rules for what constitutes a character have been thrown out. Anybody can make it in, which on one hand is incredibly exciting, but makes each character reveal a bit more disappointing. Like, you can put any character you want in, and you chose no dignity. However, this was a perfectly fine addition, just nothing that exciting to me personally. Life is Strange Remastered Collection and True Colors are coming to Switch. You know, after the 14th time we've seen these games at E3 this year, I think they finally won me over. Guardians of the Galaxy is coming to Switch. You know, after the 14th time we've seen this game at E3 this year, I think they finally won me over. Now actually, this is a cloud version of the game. They don't make it obvious, but you see this little text at the bottom stating, "Buckle up, the future's here." Cloud versions aren't fun, Nintendo. It's not like, oh, they're actually bringing this game to Switch. It's they're doing the bare minimum to make this game playable on Switch. I know why they throw these games in their directs, because seeing big names like that and seeing big graphics like that get you excited at first, but then when it's revealed that it's nothing but a cloud version, the carrying meter drops to sub-zero. Worms Rumble on Switch comes with an exclusive patchwork bear outfit.
Where are my stock options?
Astria Ascending? Sure. 2 Point Campus? Double sure. So you're talking about these 4 games sort of rapid fire via this weird headline, there's something for everyone on Nintendo Switch. Yeah. Everyone. If the world had to pick between only 4 games, I think we know which ones. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. So this is amazing. Celebrating the 20th anniversary of the series, Banana Mania is pretty much a perfect return to form, taking 300 levels from Monkey Ball 1, 2, and Deluxe, the good ones. They did Banana Blitz HD 2 years back, which obviously was just to test the waters for the series. Now they're going in and giving us what we want, a good game. This seems to be the perfect Monkey Ball experience. This is great. They'll f it up somehow. Mario Party Superstars, I'm pissing happiness. Pretty much a best of collection for Mario Party with 100 classic minigames from previous entries, which is pretty much exactly what Mario Party of the Top 100 was, but in comparison, this is actually good. For some reason, they never took into consideration the glue that held Mario Party together was the game boards. And they're bringing back 5 game boards from the N64 titles, which is perfect. At their worst, these game boards are far better than the best modern Mario Party boards. Plus, it has online play, uses Super Mario Party's engine, which looked great. This is amazing, though I think 5 game boards is a really weak number. It works, but when these are remakes, I think it's fair to want more than 5. I mean, Mario Party games during their peak have constantly had more than 5 game boards, and they were all brand new. Plus, the minigames are taken from across the entire series. The game boards are just N64, which I will remind Nintendo, the GameCube Mario Parties were pretty sexy. But honestly, that's really my only gripe with the game. I think I'd want at least 8 to 10 game boards, but 5, it suffices. But like Monkey Ball, they'll f it up somehow. The Mario Party team are the only developers I wouldn't let perform surgery on me. Next up, they say Metroid Prime 4 is still in development.
That'd be too if I didn't exist.
But here's a different new Metroid game. Oh. Metroid 5? Oh my god, a new 2D Metroid. This looks so clean! What the f? Metroid Dread, after being this mysterious entity for almost 20 years, a 2D Metroid Nintendo's been teasing all that time, that's been canceled, uncanceled, canceled again, it's happening now. And it looks good. It looks like a true evolution of 2D Metroid, and it's developed by Mercury Steam, the developers of Metroid Samus Returns, and they look like they're nailing it. It's so great to see this series get so much more support as of late, but people have to put their money where their mouth is. If they want more stuff like this and not 10 more Mario Party Superstars, buy it. If you don't, damn it, I will. Another platter of games here. Just Dance 2022. Really blindsided me with that one. Cruise and Bless, that's cool. And it. Who's heard of a sizzle reel of 2 things? Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Man, what gives this more value to have its own headline compared to the others? Mario Golf Super Rush comes out in 2 minutes. I hate when Nintendo spends time at E3 on games releasing so soon, but they did reveal free updates are coming. That sort of means to me this game is launching in an incomplete state and it will be finished via free updates. And by the time they fully finish the game, I'm not gonna care. Monster Hunter Stories 2 gets a highlight. More evidence that I think Capcom did the show at gunpoint. What was the point talking about Monster Hunter on their own when Nintendo was gonna anyways? WarioWare is back! Hell yes! This one focuses on playing as the actual WarioWare characters in the microgames, each with their own abilities, so there are multiple ways to complete each microgame, which is a really cool idea. I am a bit cautious though. I'm worried this format limits how crazy the microgames can be. Looking at WarioWare's smooth moves, that game goes wild with the Wii Remote, and I always felt the Switch was a prime candidate for WarioWare with the Joy-Con. Instead, at the moment, this is something that could have been done on any Nintendo platform, though it is a cool idea and I'm gonna pick it up. I'm just interested to see how much variety this concept brings with it. Shin Megami Tensei 5? I blacked out. Seriously though, this is a huge upgrade from Shin Megami Tensei 4 on the 3DS, and it's genuinely looking to be another solid RPG to call the Nintendo Switch its home. The Danganronpa series comes to Switch alongside Fatal Frame Made in Black Water, the Wii U Fatal Frame. I just bought the insanely expensive European physical edition and my dreams of becoming a financial advisor are crumbling. So I played this one a bit and it wasn't really my thing, but I'm willing to give it another go on Switch. Weirdly enough, it's coming to all platforms. Again, so happy I invested in what I thought was going to be the only way to ever play this game. The first part of Doom Eternal DLC comes roughly 4 years too late. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which is a great game for Switch, even if the graphics are looking a little rough. Strange Brigade. I remember them announcing this game too. That's right, even my mom came up to me and said, "Did you see they announced Strange Brigade for Switch?" Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Again! Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Oh my god, this is so nice to see. Even if you're not a fan of Advance Wars, this game gives loads of hope that Nintendo is really willing to revisit fan-favorite franchises. It's a remake of the 2 games on Game Boy Advance. I would have preferred if they remade the games exclusive to Japan, but I think the game looks gorgeous. The 2D and 3D art are both amazing. It's just a warm and fuzzy feeling to see this franchise back in some way. Now, it's time for some Zelda talk. Skyward Sword HD is coming out. What a headline! They talked about nothing new, and this was quite possibly my biggest disappointment of the show. Skyward Sword HD seems to basically be adding nothing. They had nothing of note to discuss, no enhancements, no changes, no quality of life improvements. It's just Skyward Sword in HD. You can play with buttons if you want. Compared to Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, this is a huge disappointment of a remaster, even graphically. With those, they went in and spruced up a ton. Skyward Sword HD looks like you're just playing Skyward Sword on an emulator. As Zelda Game & Watch is revealed, it's pretty much the exact same thing as the Mario Game & Watch released for Mario's 35th anniversary, except this one includes Zelda 1, 2, Link's Awakening, and a reskin of the Game & Watch game Vermin. It's cute, but they said this was pretty much it for Zelda's 35th anniversary, which feels really strange. Like, this is all you're willing to do? Reusing Game & Watch shells and giving us a 30th way to play Zelda 1? I like this kind of junk, but it doesn't really get me going, especially after we already got the Mario one. This isn't a new form factor or anything, so it's not like, oh boy, I can't wait to see what this device is gonna be like. But we finally end on a look at the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's a sequel to Breath of the Wild. Lots of new stuff at play here, specifically the sky, what looks like time manipulation, goo. Truly a fantastic looking game. But they still gotta be hiding this game's main gimmick. Nintendo is yet to be revealed, and Nintendo says they don't want to say what it is because it'll spoil something, so there's obviously a lot they aren't sharing. And with the release date of 2022 and what I think will be late 2022, we'll be speculating for a while. That was pretty good. There's some weird choices for games shown and the oddball scissor reels of there's so much to play on Nintendo Switch. But overall, some great stuff here. While watching, this was a treat. Looking back, there aren't a ton of big games, but games that we've wanted for a while. Advance Wars, WarioWare, a good Mario Party, Metroid Dread, not the best Nintendo E3, but a damn good one. But who knows, Horizon might have buttered me up. So that was E3 2021. As each day went on, Ubisoft show kept getting better and better. Most companies are treating E3 as more so an excuse to give updates on their well-being rather than putting together a show that'll blow gamers' minds. Nintendo seems to have a really solid idea as to what constitutes as an ending announcement or a big announcement in general. The other companies sort of falter with that kind of stuff. Like Capcom's show was completely unnecessary, same with Gearbox, Square Enix. I just hated companies putting together showcases when they have no reason to. You're wasting your fans' time. I think E3 went to all these companies and almost begged them to do something this year. Being a virtual event, let's be honest, there's no real need for these companies to even participate in E3. What are they even participating in? Live streaming their showcase at a certain time? They can do that whenever. E3 still has value because more people were watching something like the Square and Capcom shows because they were a part of E3. If they weren't, not nearly as many people would even tune in. But when this is the overall quality, E3 becomes more and more questionable. At least Xbox and Nintendo were good, and those are the main ones you look forward to. But without Sony, even without EA, without those big booths and not treating each showcase as the companies putting their best foot forward and trying to win everybody over, instead giving updates on your esports initiatives or DLC plans, E3 just didn't feel worth it this year. But I still wouldn't trade it for the world. Even at its worst, E3 is our time. It's a communal effort to band together to say, wow, didn't that stink? I don't like having all these showcases spread out across the summer. 1 week of just non-stop gaming talk, it's magical. No matter how many times it disappoints me, I'm always gonna look forward to the next E3. There's always next year, Verizon. I'm looking forward to their showcase at E3 2022, where I pray they announce their new logo and it looks like this. I sneezed during the tattoo.